Hello and welcome back to the Perth to Paisley podcast, episode number 138. It's all went a wee bit wrong, basically. We've had two more losses, like we did last week. We've had fan revolt. We've been knocked out of Europe. We've not scored at home against a team that hadn't beaten us in 4 years. And we're just not very excited to do this episode. So, of course, we are delighted to have you all listening. I'm sure you're all very excited to listen to it. So, as ever, I am Daniel McIver, joined by the enthusiastic Adam Kennedy. Adam, how you doing?
I've been better, McIver. How are you?
Same. Very much same. This is going to be a laugh, isn't it?
I don't know what else you want me to say. We could start this off by kind of ranting and raving. I could have done loads of prep for this podcast and taken barrel loads of notes on both two games, but I figured if we're not going to put any prepping on the park, then what's the point in prepping off the park? So I'm just really angry. Like those two, that 180 minutes that was served up between our last episode and this. Yikes.
Yeah, some laugh. So thankfully, I've done some prep, but we'll get right into the first game because we're doing things a wee bit differently. Normally, with every game, we go through the team, the lineup, then the individual highlights, and then the goals, whatever the result is, and kind of just speak about it. With the POAK game, I didn't watch it because, bluntly, I had better things to do than us getting battered in Europe and sat there for 90 minutes. However, there's no highlights packages. There is only the goals.
That's because of Viaplay. Thanks, Viaplay.
Yeah, cheers, Viaplay.
Thanks, Scottish Football, for your exceptional broadcast deal that I would never criticise.
Yeah, just great. And to be honest, we think that the issues are more about the domestic form, and we want to dedicate more of the episode to that and don't want it to potentially what can happen with double header episodes where the first game gets the most kind of spotlight and then you end up rushing through the second game. So we are just going to quickly go over the European game because, to be honest, it wasn't a good night for anybody in Europe, if we're being totally honest, of a Scottish persuasion over the last 7 days, because Rangers were embarrassed by PSV. Hibs continued. In fairness, Hibs only lost 3-0 this time, but an 8-0 aggregate scoreline. And we obviously got battered as well in Greece. And then Aberdeen, the one team that I think everyone in Scotland were like, right, at least we've got them to hang our hat on into the, I was about to say Conference League, but they are actually annoyingly still in the Conference League. But the Europa League.
They should have got Europa.
Yeah, against BK Häcken, as they inexplicably got beat 3-1 at home. So before we get into our game, what did you make of the other Scottish clubs' trips around Europe?
Yeah, I mean, it is great to see our coefficient is, continuing to thrive. Scottish football really is a terrible, terrible place, isn't it? Really. I mean, even as we'll get onto the kind of domestic scene, Rangers were battered when that was just a late collapse like I've never seen. I mean, Connor Goldson's own goal pretty much summed up the evening. Did have De Jong and Tavernier both to score inside 90 minutes, 12-1, 10 on it. Thank you very much. Nice. So that was, I shout out my sister's boyfriend. He got them at 14s, but I got them at 12s, but whatever. I'm not one to, be too snobbish and look down upon it, but it's what it is.
Still got something back.
Hibs wasn't expecting much. It's great to see that Aston Villa's reserves are still absolutely light years ahead of Hibernian, as they would be for pretty much every Scottish team. Yeah. Us watched it on a stream with Gogsy. Really bad, as we'll come to. Don't help ourselves whatsoever. And then watched the Aberdeen game directly after us, which was something. I mean, that was, shocking, really bad. Just massive missed opportunity. The others were absolutely outclassed. It's as simple as that. Even kind of the draws for Scottish clubs. I mean, Celtic and Rangers have it all right in the Champions League and Europa. Aberdeen's Conference League group is mucky.
Yeah.
So I'm not really expecting a great deal from any Scottish team in Europe, given they were pumped by each and every one of them. It was really bad. A terrible week. I don't know if this is one for like our older listeners or I don't know, folk that are more clued up than you and I, which could be just about everybody. But
anybody.
But I can't remember as bad a week for Scottish football on the continent. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty to choose from, but in terms of 4 teams all simultaneously competing and all being knocked out in the space of 48 hours?
Yeah.
Can't remember anything quite as bad as that.
My only take on it is that I feel like there's been an overreaction to 3 out of the 4 games.
You're just coming up against better teams.
Yeah, because
there's ways to get beat.
That is true, and I think part of the overreaction is probably the score lines when you just look at it on its face. But I think if you said to everybody, when the draws were made where Rangers got PSV,
POAK, God, yeah.
I think everybody went, Rangers, Hearts and Hibs will probably get beat and Aberdeen might get a result.
Yeah.
I think by the end of it, Aberdeen's the only one where you go, that's a failure. Because you should, much like we failed last year against Zurich, it's like, on the basis of the 2 games, Aberdeen should have beaten Häcken.
I mean, Aberdeen probably did the trickier thing in that they came from 2-0 down in Sweden to take them back to Pittodrie, their first ever sellout, in front of that capacity crowd for once, and live on the BBC Scotland cameras. I mean, everybody rushed on up to Pittodrie. This is it. Aberdeen and their European heritage, as the fans always bang on about. Hopeless. Absolutely hopeless.
So, it's been some laugh.
Can I just say, we'll come to the officiating as well in our game. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But Aberdeen's match, I mean, the 2 penalty claims are as stone wall as you're ever likely to see. And yet the officials did, like, the consultation of VAR, the whole thing is just an absolute charade. How you cannot identify that both penalties were penalties is beyond me.
Yeah, absolutely mental. And obviously we were one of those games, as we say. So we travelled to Greece with, I think my prediction last week was at least we'd lose by 3 goals. So I'm
delighted because I was going to go at the bookies and put it on 3-0 POAK. So when they got that third, I was like, oh my God, no. Because I didn't stick it on.
Didn't do it.
I was like, oh no, if this finishes 3-0, I will never forget this for one way or another.
Yeah.
But then they just rubbed further salt into the wounds. Yeah. Yes. I was thinking, I was actually watching it going, please get a 4th or get a consolation goal for the fans that have made the trip over. Just anything bar 3-0.
Yes, 100%.
But we were lucky it wasn't 3 by half time.
Yes, exactly.
Lucky it wasn't 3-0 by about half an hour, to be honest.
So the team that lined up was, now I'm going off the BBC here, and they've got it in the weirdest
I'm sure that'll be accurate.
They don't even have a formation. They just have a team. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is for this, so I'm going to read it as it's printed here. So the Hearts team that lined up in Greece was Clark, Sibic, Kent, Devlin, Atkinson, Rolls, Cochrane, Boyce, Vargas, Shankland, Kingsley.
What a random, like, it's not even by, like, it's not alphabetically, it's not like
numbers.
Squad number,
it's not positions.
What is that?
I don't know what that is. But that was the team. I think...
Did Brian McLaughlin do his report, blitzed with a couple of mythoses, or what's the script here?
Actually, do you know who it was? It was friend of the podcast, Andrew
Petrie. Oh, it speaks volumes.
It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. But
at BBC Scotland, you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Exactly. The subs that were throughout the game, we actually made all 5. We had Tagola, Denham, Lowry, Ophia, and Halliday all come on. In regards to this starting 11, that's probably the strongest we could have had at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe. Exactly. Toby Civic in the middle of the park, questionable. This is just an area that we'll come on to that really, really depresses me right now. In terms of elsewhere,
yeah.
I mean,
Kenny Vargas started.
Yeah, I again come to that with regards to Sunday. Yeah. Absolute disgrace. Yeah, because it was Cochrane further up again, wasn't it? which I could understand with the threat that they posed out wide. Zivkovic he tore us a new one, by the way. But it's mad how kind of over the years we're sort of collecting this catalogue of players that have absolutely done us in terms of European performance. I think for those of our generation, Zivkovic probably features. I'm trying to think of other wingers sort of last year that we came up against in the conference. I think he'd be right up there, Zivkovic.
Yeah, that's probably fair, to be honest.
In terms of how good he was, but yeah, we didn't help ourselves.
As I say, we're only just going to cover the goals, and I kind of just want to cover the first one in its own isolation because it's absolutely mental.
Absolutely rubbish.
I don't understand. I've only seen it back once, in fairness.
I've watched it back about 5 to 10 times.
Do you think it's onside?
Lost count. Do I think it's what in terms of when the ball's being played in?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
Do you? No, I can't see how it's been given.
No. What I'm more concerned about, McIver, is the needless barge off the ball.
Yeah.
From Atkinson when the ball's away.
Yeah.
Shankland miskicking it. And Xander Clark just watching it trickle in. Yeah. Like,
I think the bounce kind of affects Clark because
the bounce is perfect in terms of, like, I don't dispute that he knows what he's doing by just sticking it in the box and trying to get some sort of contact on it. But in terms of the way that it's taken, it bounces the perfect location to deceive Shankland and trickle all the way through.
Yeah.
But had somebody stabbed it into the back post, you'd say, all right, fair enough. Terrible marking. Okay, I can accept that. But, I mean, it goes in slow motion.
Yeah. It's not fun at all. And then that was kind of the story of the game, really. We conceded another one only 5 minutes later. Thomas. Is it Thomas or is it Thomas? I had two.
I don't know. I hope to never come up against him ever again because he was really annoying. Mate, you even just saying this, like, I'd genuinely forgotten what the second goal was, and now I can remember it, and now it's going to really irk me. Yet again. I mean, wow. Two left backs starting, and they're just allowed the freedom of Thessaloniki down that right-hand side. Alex Cochrane gets bent up, just the ball in, terrible header away, and then Kai Rose. Oh my goodness gracious me.
Like, I will say, it's a good finish.
The finish is a joke, but come on. I mean, come on. What has happened?
That's going to be written on his gravestone. Needs to be stronger, Kairos.
Like, what did the Socceroos do with the real Kairos? Did they leave him in Qatar?
Maybe.
There's every chance that there's some big ginger bloke wandering around Qatar that's lost.
Yeah.
Trying to get back to Edinburgh. Hearts have made a mess of the contract as well now.
I believe he's going to be a Toby Sibbick or a Zal. I believe he's going to come through this eventually, but he can only come through this if he gets dropped.
I would give absolutely anything. And you mentioned Toby Sibbick there. I mean, whilst Toby Sibbick isn't a left-sided centre-half, at this current minute in time, exactly, I'm sticking him in there every day of the week.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? Hearts were banking on Harry Souttar moving and just went, yeah, we'll have some of that. And then Harry Souttar basically got this move to Leicester, and we were baffled as to why nobody came in for Kairos because he just signed a 5-year deal. And now, ever since he signed it, he's been absolute muck.
I will say, and we'll get to it, I actually thought he was all right on
Sunday. And
his mate,
Atkinson at right back. Bit of a Rowan Atkinson.
Well, they both were involved in the third goal that we conceded in the 58th minute.
Oh my God. And that's what they're actually, there's a common theme developing here. They're getting worse and worse.
Just a long ball over the top that is then muscled over, played it in the box and poked in.
Now, I want to kill Rolls here, but in fairness, he's the only one that's tracking back.
Yeah, true. That's true.
My man in the middle.
Cochrane makes a vague effort to try and block it.
Where's everybody else? My man in the middle controls it with the side of his hip. He doesn't even control it correctly. Yeah. And then he just gets a second bite of the cherry because nobody's on him. Nobody's in any piece surrounding him.
Just Cochrane and Rolls are like the only two.
Wait, Where's Atkinson? Where's Kent? Where's Kingsley? Kingsley was the one that was meant to be starting at left back. Cochrane was just a wanderer in the midfield. Like, what am I watching here?
And then
McIver, sorry, you can say that they're a decent outfit. They're a better team than us.
Yeah,
but at least make it tricky for them.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll be honest, I can't actually remember the fourth goal. Tyson's second. I can't even remember what happens.
Oh, that's the one that he drills on the left-hand side of the box, and I was relieved. I'll be honest.
Yeah, you're celebrating it like fucking.
I was relieved, just wiped away the sweat. But in all seriousness, it speaks volumes that I'm not the most optimistic about Hearts. I should say I do have my moments where every now and then I feel like the club might surprise us, but it was even worse than I feared, and I was expecting us to get battered, but that was a POAK pummeling. If ever we were lucky, it was 4.
Well, I clearly made
my assessment. You made
correct decision not to.
At least you didn't go on the internet and live stream it, because that would be humiliating.
True, that would be the worst case scenario ever, really.
Adding to the fact that you'd already streamed, one of the worst defeats in our history to non-league Broder Rangers. So it's I'm staying away from Hearts live streams.
I was just about to say, can you stop fucking going on live streams?
It's never happening ever again.
Yeah. Good. So we're out of Europe, and everyone was like, "Right, okay,
out of Europe, shock horror.
We're out of Europe. Let's push on, and let's get back to what the bread and butter is: domestic."
What got us there in the first place?
Yeah. You're thinking, right? Motherwell have had a very good start to the season. Stuart Kettlewell is just a fucking class manager, but they've not won at Tynecastle in 4 years. Come on, let's see what happens. Well, before we get into what happened, we will first of all go around the ground. So it was all happening at McDiarmid Park as Dundee were 2-0 up with 10 minutes left to go. And
that's objectively funny.
Yeah, and it inexplicably finishes 2-2 between the two teams who will probably be bottom of the league come the end of the season. Then it was just continuing the draws as Livingston got a pretty good point against St Mirren. They seem good at home, Livy, so far this season.
They do.
Drawing against Aberdeen and St Mirren. The Killie pie is crumbling here as Ross County beat them, but...
Talking about officials,
I think it's fair to say that Derek McInnes was rightfully aggrieved in his post-match interview as Stuart Findlay appears to equalise as the ball is going towards the goal, but it's pulled back.
He's nearly as angry as me. Another betting-related story, which I realise is really not good. We might as well just start a Gamblers Anonymous sub-pod, but I saw that Willie Hill had like an enhanced special, and it was like all 6 teams to score in the Scottish Premiership 3 o'clocks on Saturday. So I was like, I'll have some of that. And then St Mirren obviously grabbed their late equaliser, and I didn't realise that Kilmarnock had scored before they'd missed that penalty through Daniel Armstrong. So that's a sore one. Kevin Clancy, you've got blood in your hands.
So yeah, it ends up missing the penalty, and Ross County get a fucking huge 3 points at a ground that neither of the Old Firm could win at, which is just...
See, if you're a Killie fan, right, you must be absolutely livid. How can you do both the Old Firm, come to Tynecastle, claim a point, but you've lost, albeit the kettle is boiling at Fir Park.
Yeah, it is.
But at home to Ross County, that should be a gimme.
Yeah, that's mad. That's mental. And then on to the Sunday games, there was small matter of an Old Firm. I don't watch Old Firms because I don't care, but by all accounts, one of the worst Old Firms there's ever been.
I tell you what, that Sunday afternoon, I thought brilliant. I'll finish work, come home, stick the Old Firm on, stick my Hearts game on, and then I'll watch Arsenal Man United back to back to back. Lovely, perfect, super Sunday in full flow. 2 out of thirds of those fixtures were absolute dross. I watched that Old Firm thinking, if these are the top 2 teams in this country who will no doubt finish 30, 35, possibly even 40, given the nature of the league, ahead of everybody else, whoever finishes third, then that speaks absolute volumes about our league and the state of Scottish football.
Some laugh.
Because they're rubbish. It was rubbish. It was honestly one of the worst games I think I've watched in a few years.
Double header of Samers and Dessers just don't look like footballers.
Lammers, Dessers. You've spent £6 million on Danilo, who can't even get a game.
Mental.
Meanwhile, you're churning out these results.
Yeah,
don't get it.
Crazy. Managerless Hibs got a massive 3 points at Pittodrie.
Again, talking about bets, burst the coupon, fourfold. Crystal Palace, Arsenal, Liverpool, Aberdeen. I thought it was an absolute cert. I thought 6 homes, 3 Scottish Premiership ones. I dare not touch Hearts. I fancied Rangers to win the Old Firm. What is that? £138. Barry Robson. I should be living life right now.
But yeah, Aberdeen are. They're not.
I didn't realise this would be a common theme. I'm sorry. Please gamble responsibly. Get that out there.
I think what was it? It was like they've had 2 wins in the last 11 games, and one of them was against Stirling Albion, and the other was against St Mirren, who went down to 10 men within half an hour or something. And listen,
what is happening here? I'm saying nothing exactly after the international break.
Oh no, my point was just going to be that I said it the week that Barry Robson was appointed that he won't see Christmas. I still, to this day, I can fully see them beating us next weekend. But
no doubt. That's probably their ideal fixture.
Yeah. I don't get many things right, but it's looking like that's a pretty safe bet.
Your Barry Robson is my Lee Johnson in this scenario, isn't it?
Exactly. So we then get to our game this Sunday. You're thinking,
I'm looking at elsewhere at the weekend. Just refereeing controversies. We're 4 weeks into the season now, and now it's starting to actually you've got the Old Firm decision for me that's not a full further disallowed goal. I don't know. I
can see it both ways. I've seen some refs say it is. I've seen some refs say it. I've not seen it close enough to give my own opinion.
The Kelly catastrophe. Livingston having that goal disallowed. You talked about a point at home to St Mirren, which is a good result. But, and I had one each in my who scored. But
they'll be thinking
Olivia will probably think, and they'll be wanting to make the most of the home games, like you say.
Yeah.
St Johnstone Dundee. My goodness. Wow. Wowie. Please I would give anything for that to be the bottom 2. I've predicted St Johnstone to get relegated. Don't see that changing anytime soon. Dundee, as long as we're in the league, then they'll be fine.
Yeah, basically.
Is the annoying thing.
That is a very good point. So, Motherwell travel to Tynecastle.
Great. That's just what we need. A manager that's lost 1 away game whilst in charge of Motherwell. Has only picked up 2 fewer points now than Celtic since he was appointed as Motherwell manager.
Yeah, I think that sigh is a pretty good assessment of where this is. So, Hearts lined up in the traditional 4-2-3-1 that we've come to know, and it was Clark, Ingalls, back 4 of Atkinson, Kent. The big talking point was that Rolls kept his place.
Remarkably.
Yep. Alex Cochrane, a left back, returning for his first domestic game this season now that he's suspension.
That was literally the highlight. The highlight was seeing Cochrane in the starting 11.
Yeah, definitely. Midfield 2 of Devlin and Peter Herring's return from injury. A front 3 of Oda on the right, Boyce in the 10, Lowry out wide left, and Shanklin through the middle. Now, I normally, because I kind of just feel team selection even for the last couple of years, I don't think I've often seen the team and been like, what are we doing? What is that?
Yeah.
That's metal.
Most of the time it's trying to work out what formation we're playing.
Yeah, true. But so it was a roasting hot day on Sunday. It was unbelievable. I'm walking down to the game and I see the team, and I just out loud went, we're going to get beat today. And it was all because, this sounds very reductive, and it probably is, and this isn't how football works, but my brain went, why are we not starting Vargas? I'm now not confident we're going to win.
I was in that exact same belief. I can't believe he got dropped. I also had immediately written us off, McIver, once I saw that team. Atkinson, I'm not having. I've tried to convince myself that he's decent going forward. I don't even see that. I don't see it. Defensively, massive questions need asked for me. Kai Rolls, as you say, can't believe he kept his place. Kent and Cochrane, I'm fine with.
Oh, yeah, of course. They're currently the best two players in that position each.
By a country mile.
Yeah.
In midfield, Cammy Devlin, okay, I'm fine with that. Pressing, you know my thoughts with regards to Peter Haring. I'm not having it. Yutaro Oda, I like. Recently, I don't know what he's offered. And again, Vargas seems a much better fit for that position. Boyce, one of our best players. Alex Lowry. Alex Lowry is a funny one. To me, I do prefer him on the left-hand side than when he's occupying the 10. However, I get the sense that you can have all the talent in the world, McIver, as a professional footballer. If you do not have the application, there are talented players that are kicking about the lower leagues. For some, it might be that injuries have prevented them from kicking on. I don't want Alex Lowry to look back on his career and think, if I'd have just applied myself that little bit more, I could have got that move to, I don't know, a top-end championship club, a Premier League club, kicked on at Rangers and won trophy after trophy. So far, I've seen talent in spells, not enough application. And talking about the Greek affair, I saw some tweets from Jambos that were there saying that he didn't even come over to thank the fans. That is a no-go for me. I'm sorry. The fans have paid good money. They've booked their holidays to come and watch you play in Greece. Yes, they've drank mythos aplenty. Yes, they've raked in the hot sun. But to not even thank the fans after you've put in that performance, not just you, but your teammates have put in that performance, and we've been swept aside by a mob that we've made look like world beaters, is frankly unacceptable. And Shankland elsewhere in the 11, who we are just begging that a Saudi club don't come in for him. Previously, I was on the idea that if a Saudi club comes in, demand ridiculous money. If they want him that badly, they'll pay it. Now I'm thinking, hang up the phone. Don't even entertain any phone calls. I'm not interested, because if he goes, we're done.
Yeah,
definitely. It's as simple as that.
So the game is really weird because, as I say, I watched the highlights for this, and the highlights, which I understand, like it's club media and stuff, it's going to portray your club in as best a light possible. But
I really spent too long on that team there. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Because I think it's fair. The highlights present the game as far more equal than it actually was. So if you just watch the highlights, I imagine you're probably just like, oh, well, we got beat and it wasn't like, it's a bad result, but we did all right looking back at it. Like we had our chances. No, we didn't. We were fucking awful on Sunday. We were.
I can name one chance.
Yeah.
And it was that Shankland shot at Kelly for about 8 yards that he just gobbles up with ease. I mean, other than that, it was really bad. And we like, how often have I found myself coming on this podcast and saying it was our worst performance in a long time, or I haven't seen that bad a Hearts performance at Tynecastle or at this particular venue for however long. Like, at what point are we actually going to look like a competent football team again? Because I'm scared. I'm really scared. I look at October, Hibs will have not confidence aplenty, but they'll have a new lease of life under a new manager, you would assume. And then you've got both the top two, who I've just described as rank, but who we make look like 70s Brazil every single time we play them. So this, like, when we looked at the season, when the fixtures were released, we looked at the season and we thought, those first couple fixtures, we could get off to a really good start here.
I said I expect a minimum from 10 out of the 12 opening points.
Right. Okay. So it's an appealing set of fixtures. What happens when we've run out of appealing fixtures and then we've got the so-called trickier fixtures?
Yeah.
To me, we were presented with a great chance to build up a gap on Aberdeen, who are currently occupying Europe, and Hibs under a hopeless manager that they've just sacked. One change has already been made in the Hibernian dugout, and Aberdeen, I mean, are going to be occupied until Christmas, yeah, but they play us at Tynecastle immediately after the break. This was meant to be an appealing start that we could build up, gaps, gather points, really have some momentum going by the time that we play the better teams amongst the division later on in the season. And we need to hit the ground running in September here, or it could be a very, very long season.
So we nearly did hit the ground running really well in this game, as in the 6th minute, Lowry finds Shankland, but his efforts wider than near post. And then that kind of then just starts a continued Motherwell press, as 13th minute, Clark does well to tip a header over the bar from a Motherwell corner. About 2 minutes later, Shankland loses the ball in the middle of the park, but Spittle hits over the bar. We then break from that, but Lowry hits a shockingly bad effort from the edge of the box about
Terrible.
15 yards wide. Spittle plays through Theo Bair, but Rolls does well to block. It kind of mucks about a bit, and the final effort ends up in Clark's arms. Poor ball from Lowry, ends up in a break for Motherwell. Slattery kind of fizzes it across the box, but Clark manages to get a hand to it. That's 27 minutes in, and it just felt like every 5 minutes I was going, right, okay, it's been a bad opening 5, it's been a bad opening 10, it's been a bad opening 15. We'll get the ball soon and we'll start doing stuff. But we just never did.
It's like kind of what you're promised as a Hearts fan by various board members and kind of the vision that the Hearts hierarchy have for this club. We're always told about the tomorrow that will never come. I've seen Ian Black come out in the press recently and say that Hearts will challenge the old firm, split the old firm in the next 5 to 10 years. Please put the drink down before you contact the papers. That's all I'm going to say. What are you watching here?
I didn't see his justification. I just saw the headline. So I don't have much of an opinion on it because I just feel like it's just a thing.
It's not even worth clicking, but I still did it anyway.
It was so bad, and then it got worse because just before half an hour, we have a free kick. However, it's played into the box and it's countered very quickly. Motherwell break, and listen, whilst there's an annoyance from the game, and we'll explain it and stuff, I kind of just need to hold my hands up here and go, "This is a really good goal." Like
it's a great goal. Really it's a great goal, but we make it so like there's a common theme here, McIver. We get torn to shreds because we're so easy to play against. I mean, we don't even do the basics well at all. What is Kai Rolls up to at the back? Why is he the one that's playing everybody else on side?
Oh, right. I was like, I didn't feel like Rolls was much at fault for this. But you mean in terms of the line?
Do you see how deep he is in comparison to everybody else?
In fairness, I think part of the reason is because he's just sprinted 70 yards to get back from a free kick where he was like, right, me and Frankie are up here to try and do something.
Okay, so find the centre half with said free kick then.
It was
an aimless
issue.
Like, yeah. I can give justification if he meets it and nods it over. Otherwise, like, what's the point in even having him in there in the first place?
So that's what I mean. I don't think it's necessary. I think he's just sprinting back and trying to form a line where there isn't anybody. So he's having to be like, is this where the line is? This? And as I say,
that being said, step up. Like,
true, but I do think out of everything, I think this is as good a goal as you'll see.
It's a wonderfully weighted pass.
Like, everything is perfect. Every drop ball, every setup, every nod down is like great.
It's no fluke. This comes from decent coaching.
Yeah, it's done really well. Obviously, it is Slattery's fed through by Spittle, and it's initially found to be offside. A baffling decision to give offside in the first place.
Again, what is with officials in this league? Like, it's actually boring the life out of me. We've only just come into September and we're talking about contentious decisions week by week by week by week. When are the officials going to get some added assistance just besides VAR? Because they're clearly not competent for the job.
That was a very good, I mean, not for us, but a very good usage of VAR because it was, I thought the check was quick. But
you see how deep Kai Rolls is.
It shouldn't have to happen.
The naked eye can see it, McIver. Yeah. Why does it have to go to VAR?
Yeah.
Why can the linesman not do his job? I can't believe I'm actually going in on a goal against Hearts here. Yeah, this is how strongly I feel about the officials and how bad they actually are. Like, what am I watching?
We need professional officials.
Any form of competency. They're so bad.
It's mental. Again, you kind of think, okay, right, we've conceded. Don't let this affect us too much. The next best that they have a chance was Motherwell. However, can you call it a chance is one of those weird things where Peyton shoots from his own half, and in fairness to him, it nearly goes in. It's just past the post as he saw Clark off his line. However,
I thought it was in.
So did I.
I thought it was in, and then I was going to slew Xander Clark for being in no man's land. But that is, had that gone in, that would have just summed it up.
Yeah, very much so.
Like, what are we up to?
For me, the one of like 3 people who can hold their head up after this performance, as always, Liam Boyce picks up the ball, drags it back under his feet, keeps it, spins 3 Motherwell midfielders in one step, drives forward, finds Alex Lowry, but his efforts deflected over the bar.
Can I stop before you go into the other highlights? Who are your 3?
Probably, can I just say 3 generally? I feel like, I know Rolls is at fault for the line, right? But generally, I don't think I ever during the game went, oh, fuck Rolls, which I was expecting to do.
Okay.
So I think he's like,
he's on the border of pass marks.
But probably the usual 3 of Boyce, Kent, and Cochrane. I just felt like, oh, well, actually, no. Maybe not Cochrane, because I can't really think of anything he did positive or negative. I'm going to include a sub and just say, when Kenny Vargas came on, he looked good again.
Which beggars belief as to why he was dropped in the first place.
Another sub, Toby Sibic. Because it's not in the highlights, and I don't know why, but there was that moment in the second half where Sibic just drove forward and Motherwell didn't know what to do, and it nearly led to a chance.
Took it into his own feet.
Yeah, and it was like, guys, can we do that again? And that was like
doing
half
a John
an hour
Suter impression. Did I say it? Yeah.
I just thought that,
I missed
like,
those.
Weirdly, I think the defence was all right as a unit in terms
the goal that they conceded.
Yeah, bar the goal they conceded, and generally I was just kind of like,
offensively that we were really poor.
Yeah, so
really poor.
It's half time.
Sorry, just before we get into chatting about the kind of the first half generally, this is where the selection comes back to bite us, in my opinion, because we're talking about trying to play possession football beyond the front foot, look to carve out opportunities, but ultimately we've named 6 defensive outfield players when playing Motherwell at Tynecastle. Peter Haring and Cammy Devlin do not work as a 2 if you're trying to play high press possession football. Peter Haring is a great passer of the ball, you believe. I believe he's too slow. Cammy Devlin is a workhorse. So Cammy Devlin can be the presser, Peter Haring can be the passer, but neither can do both so well that they justify starting as a 2. But the problem is, McIver, I don't know who our 2 in front of the back 4 should be. I genuinely don't know. I've got no idea as to who should occupy that position. Now, Devlin probably is the only cert.
Devlin and even then.
Right. Okay. So Devlin's my only cert, but I've barely seen Callum Neuenhoff.
But that's the point. So it's like he's the new signing that's been brought in to link defence and attack. It's not his fault. He's been hurt a wee bit. So it's like, right, well, when he's fit, he needs a run in the team to go for it.
I can agree with all that. But my point is, Hearts should plan for when Neuenhoff isn't available.
Currently we don't have anybody.
We've spent over 1 million on central midfielders in the past few seasons, and we're relying on a guy that was coming towards the end of his Hearts deal and a fan's favourite that has been brilliant in Europe, but has had question marks domestically. I think it's fair to say.
Who have we
with regards
spent
to Devlin?
Who have we spent?
So George Grant arrested Dermot Soglu, and now Callum Neuenhoff. So when Neuenhoff doesn't play, the other 2, 400?
Was it
400? I don't know. I'm speculating here, but you're not telling me. I mean, Grant and Keogh were at least both of that.
They were, I think, together 500k.
No way. Surely more than that.
I thought Keogh was 250 and Grant was 300.
I thought Grant was about 400 on his own.
I might be wrong, but I just thought that's what it was.
But anyway, my point is...
we don't know how much was...
the undisclosed. Right, okay. Right. Well, regardless, we spent big money on this position, and we've been shoehorning a left-back in to play continentally. At centre half that was previously playing at right back last season.
Yeah.
What is happening? What am I watching? How can we spend such sufficient dough and we're reverting back to players that were here in 2018?
Yeah.
Wearing this bloody top.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a medium. I'm a large now. I've outgrown this. We should have outgrown central midfield players. But yet they're still working their way into the starting lineup because we don't have any backup plan for when new signings are injured.
Well, there was no subs or any new signings. I did see someone say that. It was like, from that game, I think Naismith named 2 of his new signings. Lowry and Kent. Yeah, that was it. And we made, what, like 7? I can't remember how many signings we made. But basically, now, I will say, I guess we'll take the time to say this now because I don't really know when else. I really just hope Offia's okay.
Yeah, big time. Big time. That's a real shame.
That was very much my thought on the day. I was like, oh, why isn't he in the squad at all? Like, I found that weird.
What irks me is when folks start spreading rumours without knowing exactly what's happened. I mean, it's a guy's health that we're talking about here. Let's just wait and see what Hearts do say, or indeed Brighton do say. But as you say, we both wish him the very best of luck in his recovery.
Definitely. But as I say, no subs were made at halftime. And the opening 3 minutes of the half are very much us in a nutshell, where the first action of the game, we nearly get right back into it, as Shankland is immediately played through from kickoff but can't properly connect to it. And then 2 minutes later, it's inexplicable how Motherwell don't make it 2, where Spittle gets the ball fed to him basically on the penalty spot, and he somehow hits it wide.
I forgot about that. I'm glad that I forgot about that. I'm not happy that you brought that back up.
Yeah, mental. The double header of to prove you wrong, basically, of here's the Atkinson chances, where Atkinson does really well, drives forward, plays a ball in the box that's met by Tagawa. But I've just realised I lied. Tagawa came on at halftime.
You forget he even came on.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy's left his shooting boots. I said at that Partick Thistle game, I was not convinced by the finish. And that's all he's done. I've not seen what else he's bringing to the table here. We're trying to play exactly the same way that we did last season. Only the problem is he's the only one that's got Janelli's pace. So
we're playing against a team who is playing a low block, so it doesn't allow any spacing behind.
And we're starting Shankland and Boyce, who, God love them, ain't the quickest, either of them.
I have just realised I'm talking absolute shit. Lowry and Oda both came off at halftime for Civic and Tagawa. I'm just talking rubbish, excuse me.
Mate, I wasn't there. Dad took the ticket, but I was watching it on the box and I was just livid. It was so depressing. So depressing.
Atkinson is again on the near side, finds Shankland in the box, but his efforts blocked and sent over the bar. Then about 3 minutes later, Motherwell defence did very well, as Boyce this time had a chance in the box, but again, it's deflected over the bar. And then this is the second last highlight, by the way. 3 minutes later, Motherwell go down to 10 men, as Paul McGinn is shown the second yellow for a challenge on Boyce. And you're thinking, right, 68th minute.
Yeah, we've got some time here.
25, maybe 30 minutes, considering.
Take. Let's get one quickly, and you never know.
No. We then move on to the next highlight, which came in the 87th minute. And it is the first shot on target.
First shot on target, yeah.
As Shankland fires.
What an effort it was as well.
A team effort into Liam Kelly's arms.
My goodness.
Now, I often...
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I'm about to go into a bigger point about it.
Rubbish. So, carry on.
I like to pride myself as being someone who is... Out of the two of us, I like to see the bigger picture more. I think it's safe to say. There's been people saying in reviews where it's like, one of them's emotional, one of them's practical. And that's the way this show works. I have thrown the practicality out the window with this, because I can't remember the last time I was this angry.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, leaving Tynecastle. Because for me, it's not even the scoreline or the result. Listen, I've seen us lose to Motherwell plenty of times, right? It won't be the last time it happens. For me, alarm bells have properly started ringing, because that was... I in recent times, one of the worst home performances we've had, because for all the problems we've had over the last couple of years, if there has been any, it's the home form's kind of backed us up. Like, what is
It's
it?
the worst home performance we've had in 2 weeks.
No, I think this is so much worse than Killie, because you go with Killie, it's like, well, listen, we had a lot of the ball, we were peppering, but they just look like a good defence of that. I think this is so much worse than the Killie game. Maybe because I wasn't at the Killie game. So
because we conjured up so little. I mean, the Killie game was bad, but at least they had the excuse of, we were sort of led to believing that they were, all-conquering Killie, as I previously dubbed them, because of their results against, only Rangers at that point. But the start that they made to the season, I mean, I was joking with folk in my work saying that Hearts have got the best result against Killie so far this season, and it's a 0-0 draw. So,
But I don't know what the plan is. It feels like 11 guys turned up on the day and were told, right, you now need to be a team. Because the amount of times where it was like, people were bumping into each other. People were playing passes, leaving it for the other person, and the other person's ran 10 yards the other way. A ball was trundling in the area, and both players are looking at each other going, you're getting this. And then a Motherwell player runs in front of it. I saw a Motherwell fan say online today that he was at the game and that he couldn't believe that Hearts didn't change anything in terms of style of play for 90 minutes. He was like, it felt like they were, this is in his words, he was like, it felt that they were trying something for 5 minutes, it didn't work. So for another 5 minutes, they kept trying it. Then another 10 minutes, they kept trying it again. Then another 7 minutes, they kept trying it. And
what's that Einstein quote?
Yes, exactly.
The same thing over and over. That's what you can call. That's what you can call this podcast. Absolute insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting to get different results.
I just don't know what the plan is. And again, we've been doing this podcast now, if you include caretaker managers, with potentially upwards of 6 people. Am I right in saying that?
I don't even want to work that out.
Levine, Stendhal.
No, had Stendhal not just come in when we started
Stendhal had been appointed that week.
So you get Stendhal, Robbie. Because nobody had... Yeah, is this not the 3rd or 4th?
Who did we have as caretaker when Robbie wasn't? Oh, well, it was this. But it's because there's 3 of them. So it's like, it's technically 5 because there's the 3 coaching team.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're doing. You're going to include McAvoy as, but right. Yeah,
that's what I mean. So,
so it must be 4 or 5.
Again, often like to think I am the one who is like, no, listen, you can't make any like big decisions quickly and stand by them, stuff. And I've always felt like that. As of right, and we'll get into it in a minute. As of right now, Naismith cannot be manager. It's not working. Naismith can be as performative and demonstrative as he wants to be on the touchline in interviews. This has been his team. It's not been McAvoy's team. It's been Stephen Naismith's team this whole time. I think part of the reason... Listen, we both said we were very meh on the appointment when it happened. It was like, okay, we think there's worse out there, but we think there's a whole lot better, and we viewed it as the cheap option from the club. I think very obviously that's starting to come through. And today, we'll just get into it right now. What do you make of the announcement? You were right. I will give this to you. You were right that they did announce that there was going to be changes.
Can I say, I didn't expect it to be today as we record.
True.
I thought that somebody in the club would be savvy enough to go, you know what, let's leave this like a week and everybody will be that depressed about the international break being here that we could just slip it in on the sly and nobody might really notice. Or we could actually appoint a manager.
But yeah, Stephen Naismith is now officially the head coach, with Frankie McAvoy moving back to assistant head coach.
Do you know what it is, McIver? Like, with the exception, I don't often like to speak about what goes on down south when it comes to this podcast, but we're in an era now of football where if you're not willing to spend money, you're going to find it very difficult to compete. And that goes in every single league. So Hearts are basically shopping at Poundland, and we're hoping to get a Louis Vuitton type output for what we're buying here. Yeah. Like, this is not what we signed up for. The foundation of Hearts have raised nearly £16 million. There's folk that spend thousands to watch Hearts week by week, season by season. And in terms of a return on investment, it's not looking too healthy. I just, in terms of the appointment itself, I mean, have you seen the stat with regards to, I think, Stephen Naismith's first 11 games mirror Robbie's last 11?
Oh,
and
really?
That's saw him sacked.
I didn't see that, no.
I mean, that just speaks volumes to me.
Well, this is what I mean.
But I don't even trust the board to get this right. I mean, we talked about Daniel Stendhal there. What football club takes on a supposed 60, 70 applicants, then chases after a guy that's displayed no interest in the job that you're going to offer him? What's the point in conducting all those interviews if you're going to give it to somebody else? Andrew McKinlay, I thought about the Stephen Naismith appointment at the time when he came in as caretaker. He'd said something along the lines of a winner. He mentioned a winner. Now, Stephen Naismith, for all that you can have flaws in the dugout, and so far his tenure has not gone well. At the B team, okay, like everybody dismissed that. But Stephen Naismith's playing career tells me he is a winner. However, that doesn't always translate. And in terms of what we were promised as fans, what we're led to believe, that Hearts should be competing on a European front, or competing for European places, I should say. Like, Stephen Naismith is not that guy. I loved Stephen Naismith. He's one of my favourite Hearts players of all time for the way that he lifted that team when he first signed. We need somebody to come in and lift this team because, as you rightly say, it ain't working. Not right now.
The other thing is that I am of the full belief that this is Naismith's team, right? I hope what happens is that we come back for this international break, batter Aberdeen, get through in the cup against Killie, beat Ross County and St Mirren, and move forward into October, going, look, now Naismith's taken over the team and it is actually him. And I was proved wrong. And it was McAvoy. But that then creates a different problem going, we employed Frankie McAvoy to do our European games just to avoid a fine. Well, we've now lost a lot more money than we would have in the fines than we would have if we qualified for Europe. I'm not saying if Stephen Naismith had gotten the job officially by the title that we would have beaten POAK. I don't think that's a separate point.
No, we're up against a better side.
Yeah. But it's like, not a single Hearts fan went, oh yeah, Frankie McAvoy, that's who we want, the academy director or whatever his job was before he came. It's like, the decisions have just been insane. And now, we will speak about my big exclusive that I've got for the podcast. So, as I was heading down after the game, furious, just wanting to get out as quick as I can, I'm right up the back of the newsstand, so you can't get out for ages. You're having to stand and wait for loads of...
See if they don't open up the top as well. Oh my God, if you're one of those wandering down, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. So, what that means is you're hanging about for about 10 minutes after the game.
Watching the Motherwell players go over to the fans and clapping them. Meanwhile, you're just depressed, putting your face in your scarf.
On your phone trying to get data to see what everybody's saying.
See the rage that'll therefore ensue as soon as Hearts have got beat.
So I'm doing that, and I'm beside the executive boxes. And as I'm standing there, I see a fan go and speak to Joe Savage. Now, there was a lot of fans wanting to speak to Joe Savage and McKinlay and all these people, but
I don't like the way that this is headed already.
It's fine. So
a big exclusive. I could just, I could see, I could feel the record writers, Football Scotland, all collectively tuning in here.
It's not that big, but basically the fan and Savage actually had a conversation. They weren't just shouting at each other.
And then a scrap.
Yes, exactly. And then they ended up fighting. So the fans' general point was, does Savage feel, as head of recruitment, director of football, whatever you want your job to be, does he feel that he and his team have done enough and that the current recruitment has been good enough for where we want to be? When asked about that, and when asked directly if he feels that recruitment's been good enough, he said, I'm not responsible for recruitment. I just sign the contracts. To which the fan goes, who does recruitment then? And he went, well, previously it was Robbie Nielsen, and now it's Stephen Naismith. So that, and this is not, and that was kind of it. They then got into an argument, and it was just like, all right, okay. My point is, then what is the point in you proudly, whenever we made a signing in the last 2 years, you're front and centre of it, going, I got the Garang Kuyol deal through the door. I'm getting all these people. Whenever we make a signing.
He's always the one that talks about our stature in Scottish football, has seen off the likes of Hibs and Aberdeen and whoever else.
All the wee quotes with him and stuff like that. And listen, people are I'll be happily corrected on this. My understanding, though, of a director of football is that a manager goes, I would like this type of player in this area. Say, I want a fast, pacey striker to get in behind and break the lines. Can you go and find a short list of these, and then I will either
pick one out,
or we
can discuss one.
Exactly. Yeah. What Joe Savage has said to that fan is that no. Naismith goes and finds players and just goes, can you sign them, Joe?
It's amazing how these figures in the Hearts hierarchy, whenever Hearts are performing well, they're the first. They're more than happy to take front and centre. They're more than happy to accept all the adulation and everybody being pleased. And then as soon as it all goes tits up, they're the first to shirk the responsibility and try and pass the buck on to somebody else. Funny that.
Joe Savage was everywhere. He was doing a million interviews when we were finishing third, getting Scottish Cup finals, doing really well under Nielsen. As soon as it felt like that February, when we started to tail off, has Joe Savage done an interview since then? Is the only time he's ever spoken up publicly?
I don't know. Need to ask Corbett, and this is my story.
Yeah, is the only time he's popped up is when he's given those wee quotes at the end of signing these players, being like, we've beaten off Aberdeen and Hibs to sign them.
I mean, folk will have you believe that he danced on tables in Greece, so
and it's like,
believe what you want to believe.
See, on that, I don't care about that and
no,
their inner workings.
I'm not going to jolly up anybody I'm not going to slay anybody for having a good time. That's what life's all about. No, exactly.
It's like you're going there, fine. That I don't care about that. What I care about is someone who is so quick to take all the praise when it's going well, and then immediately just pass hide away. On. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, that's just an admin-based role then. If all you do is sign the contracts and you don't actually deal with recruitment, because he's often quoted as saying, me and the recruitment team.
Anybody can nip on Transfermarkt. Yeah. I mean, that there's that story of who was it? The Toronto FC owner went on Transfermarkt and then convinced Lorenzo Insigne to put pen to paper because he saw that he was a free agent, that his contract was expiring.
It's just stuff like that really infuriates me when it's like, oh, you're in charge of who's going to be you have a say in who the manager's going to be.
I'm really worried. This is not going to pan out. Because you're right. I guess we were both roped into thinking that there was nothing else. Yeah. But now I'm of the persuasion where I'm just like, do you know what? The fans have put in enough money that they should be able to go out and appoint a manager.
Yeah.
Regardless of if that's somebody else in Scotland that we're identifying as somebody that we think can make the step up, going elsewhere to countries that have a lesser coefficient than we do, and perhaps persuading them, look, here's what you've got. You could have big clashes against Celtic Rangers. You've got a derby that, all those in Edinburgh's East End care about. Big clashes with Aberdeen. It's the most, most supported league in terms of per head of population. Scottish football should be able to sell itself. But now we're in grave danger of making what is an appealing job look not all that, not like you'd want to ditch a project that you've got going for.
Yeah, well, I'm back on the Marty Cifuentes bandwagon. You'll be hearing that weekly now from me.
Want a sexy Spaniard in charge of Costa del Gorge. That's what you want, isn't it? Tiki-taka at Tynecastle.
Yes, that's all I want. Is that too much to ask? For God's sake.
Yes.
So, evidently, we will have obviously, we're not going to be here next week because it's an international break and there's nothing to talk about.
Thank God. I never thought I'd usher those words, but yeah, I'm delighted to see an international break.
The next week, Aberdeen, who are, in fairness, in a pretty similar state to us. Seen people already say it's El Sacchio and we're in the second week of September.
That could be stinky.
Yeah, might not be great. How are you feeling about that?
dreading it because the Cads have a Friday night game, so I've not even got an excuse to miss it. Dad can't take the ticket on the Saturday, the jammy bastard, so
there.
I'm going to have to be here. I'm going to have to make the trip up, and it's not going to be worth my while. I really don't know. I feel like that could end anything. I've no idea what I'm going to predict for it.
That's fair.
Because, would I trust us to keep a clean sheet? Probably not. I feel like they're terrible at the back, but we've yet to score at home so far this season in the league. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm going 3-3. I think it's just going to be mental. Aberdeen games at Tynecastle tend to have a lot of goals.
And we tend to come out on top.
Yeah.
What annoys me is that 2-1 under Stephen Naismith's stewardship toward the end of last season.
Yeah.
Flattered Aberdeen.
Yeah, it should have been so much more.
1-0 Hearts, maybe.
I don't care how it happens. I just want to win. I
don't trust us to keep a clean sheet, so that's just out there now.
Yeah. Well, we will see. However, hopefully Stephen Naismith, now that he's in charge, it is actually that we've been under the stewardship of Frankie McAvoy. We come out all guns blazing, and we're a different side completely.
Yeah,
but I don't see it happening.
Do you know what? It's actually mad how fickle we are, because I was talking about the abundance of options that we have, decent players.
I still think this is a good squad.
So that
is a good squad.
But middle of the park, that is the grey area for me right now. Go and address that, and hopefully we can see things pick up.
Well, before we go, we've got the quiz as ever. Now you have been on a good run this season. No, we might be shy, but you've been getting the quizzes.
I would happily sacrifice my standing in the quiz for Hearts to pick up points again.
I don't think that's true.
I really would, because it depresses me.
Actually, this is what it's been. This is the trade-off. You've been going become shit again.
Yeah.
We're good.
Fingers crossed. I can pull out a nuke here.
Exactly. So as ever, I just realised I've not got you a multiple choice.
Interesting.
For the first time. I've just got 3 normals, a true or false.
I don't know if that's going to work in my favour. Did you say 3 true or falses?
No, 3 normal ones.
All right, okay.
True or false.
True or false, and still get all of them wrong.
Exactly. So the first one, I'll be very impressed if you got this, but it was the only positive I felt from the POAK game. So, POAK forward, and I've never known how to pronounce his name, despite knowing him for about 10 years. POAK forward, Verina. Is that how you say his name?
Vierinha.
Vierinha,
yeah.
Played against us on Thursday night, did well. Coming towards the end of his career, 38 now. However, all the way back at the start of his career, what was his claim to fame that made him a household name? Oh, that rhymed. That's class. Generally, I'll even give you the year. It was 2004.
2004?
Yeah. So I knew this, and I don't know why I knew this. But I just knew this as a fact, of a football fact.
2004. Cast our minds back.
I'll tell you,
he was playing Portugal.
He was playing for Porto at the time.
Porto.
And he'd just been called up to the Portugal squad for the first time as well.
Is he one of the first players that Jose Mourinho sold? I don't know.
No.
I have no idea.
It's bigger than that. It was that he was tipped to be the best player in the world on the right-hand side, alongside on the left-hand side. Ronaldo.
No way.
So they were both tipped. There's a headline in a Portuguese paper that translates to Golden Boys. And it's those
Bloody
two.
Hell.
They both get
Ronaldo while he was at Sporting and Vierinha at Porto.
In that summer, the summer of 2003, Vierinha gets brought to Porto, Ronaldo gets brought to Man United, and they both get called up into the Portuguese team. Bloody and they're playing on opposite wings with each other. I don't know who the striker was in the middle, but it was, this is it. This is the future of the game, and Portugal are going to have both of them.
Probably Helder Postiga, no?
Maybe.
I don't know, I'm trying to think of other Portuguese.
Charisma playing through the middle just for a laugh. But yeah, I knew that. I don't know why I know that, but I've known that for years because he ended up at Wolfsburg. And
I was going to say, I can remember him on FIFA at Wolfsburg.
Exactly, he was
that's
the right winger at Wolfsburg. He was
hell.
previously at POAK and stuff like that, and his career just never got quite to the level that he was expected to get to.
Jesus. Still
Ronaldo
decent.
did.
Okay.
Ronaldo got to the level that was expected.
Just a touch.
Yeah. So, question number 2. The rest are just about Hearts and a lot more confidence.
You say that like they're going to be any easier.
So, Motherwell's win at the weekend was their first at Tynecastle since 2019. But can you tell me who scored the goals for Hearts in that encounter? I'll tell you, we scored twice, and it was two separate
3-2, wasn't it?
3-2. So it's 2 separate goal scorers as well. I'll give you that.
Riataro Machino score one of them?
That is one.
And the other, I feel like it was Bigucci, you know.
Is that who you're going with?
No, no, it wasn't. It was Connor Washington.
Is that your final answer?
I think so.
The answer was Machino and Bigucci.
Oh, was it? Oh,
but this is one of those quizzes where it's like out of 6, so you get a point though. So you're not going to get 0 on this quiz.
It's so annoying though. Go your gut. Did Connor Washington? He scored the equaliser when we drew 1 each.
1-1. Yeah,
yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right. But still, you got a point though. So you're 1 out of 3.
Yeah. Okay.
True or false? Frankie McAvoy has the second lowest win percentage of any Hearts manager permanently in history. So not caretakers who took like a game, but someone who has been appointed permanent
false,
manager.
Is it not the lowest?
Correct, and that is the extra thing.
Yeah,
it is false.
Thank God. I thought I saw that on Heart Stats.
Yep.
God bless you, Scott. You do some great work.
It is false. It's the lowest. It's 55% after 9 games.
Wow.
So, our opponents next weekend, Aberdeen, haven't won at Tynecastle in the league in how many attempts?
Oh. Oh. Oh my God.
He's thinking about it.
Can I get it within like 1 or 2?
Yeah, I'll give you 1 either side.
Oof. Got like 5 and 7 in my head, so I'll go 6 and try and bounce it either way. But why do I feel like it might be longer than that?
The correct answer is 9.
Really?
6 losses.
As strong as that.
6 losses and 3 draws. In all competitions, it's 11.
Wow, bloody hell.
They beat them in the cup twice. That penalty shootout with
I remember that League Cup. And
yeah.
Joe Ferreira was just how we flipped that. I have no idea.
No idea. But yeah,
and
so
the other cup was that the Patterson header in the Scottish as well.
Potentially, yeah. I couldn't remember.
It was the last time. The last time was a 1-0 defeat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was McInnes their manager, and it was
just
Johnny Hayes.
2017.
2017.
So it could be Johnny Hayes.
Decent record against Aberdeen at Tiny. Hopefully we can. Continue.
Hopefully that continues. So
and right these wrongs.
Yes. So you ended up getting 2 out of 5 there, but you could get 3 of that.
That's stinky. It should have been 3. I'm disappointed with Uche. I talked myself out of it.
Right. So the who am I? It's a bit of a shorter one, I'll be honest.
Okay.
So
I don't know whether that works in my favour or not, so we'll find out.
I am a Hearts Academy graduate.
Christ, that could be anybody. My
first goal for Hearts came in the 98th minute of a game. My first loan spell away from the club ended after only 3 months, as I was recalled due to good performances. I have a family link to one of the clubs I played at, and I have exclusively played in Scotland. Who am I?
Family link to one of the clubs I've played at?
Yep. That's a good one, isn't it? That's a good clue.
98th minute.
Yep.
Good Lord. Right, there's an abundance of questions I want to ask here.
But you've only got 2.
What position did you play? What clubs did you play for? What years were you at Hearts between? Oh my Good God. Right, well, the fact that they would be recalled makes me think that they're an attacker because nobody really cares about decent defensive performances. But by the same score, we might have had a couple injuries at the back, and then they've looked at somebody that's excelling, and then they've gone to play. Oh dear. Oh dear. Played exclusively in Scotland is a funny one.
Yep.
Because when I was talking about attacking players, I instantly thought of like Jamie Walker, but he's had spells down south. Obviously thought of like Ryan McGowan, but he's been abroad to China and God knows wherever else. Oh God. Oh, this is tough.
Yep, it's a tough one. You get this because you've been getting them all, so I was like, I need to go up a level in hardness.
Aye.
Do you want the clues again?
Please.
I am a Hearts Academy graduate. My first goal for Hearts came in the 98th minute of a game. My first loan spell away from the club ended up after only 3 months as I was recalled due to my excellent performances. I have a family link to one of the clubs I played at, and I have exclusively played in Scotland. Who am I?
Right. Exclusively played in Scotland. Okay. The family link thing is really intriguing.
Right.
But if I were to ask that, does it give away other stuff? If I ask what is the family link?
Yeah. It gives away something else.
Right, okay.
But that's
I'm not gonna do that.
You can use that to your benefit.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna ask what years they were at Hearts, first and foremost.
This individual,
and we'll take it from there.
Was at Hearts. Well, it doesn't say when he joined as a boy.
Right,
okay.
Okay.
An academy.
That's fine. Just when they made their first team debut or whatever.
Between 2013 and 2015.
Oh, really? Now I'm thinking of somebody like a Dale Carrick or... Oh, God. Who else would have been in the team at that time? Billy King, we've done Who Am I's on.
Yep.
Sam Nicholson, I know, has played in the States because he was a couple of years above me at school. So we can ignore Sam. We can ignore Jamie Walker. Oh, God. I was even thinking of somebody like a Dylan McGowan, but I'm pretty sure he went back down under and now came back to Scotland. This is horrible.
Still got another question.
Oh,
Still got another question.
Jesus H. 2013. What did you say the years were?
2013 and 2015.
It's not a big time frame either, is it?
Nope.
That sounds like Gary Oliver or Dale Carrick territory.
You've got another question.
If I narrowed it down between those two, I could ask who they currently play for. Do I do that? Yeah, let's go for it. Who do they currently play for, McIver? If they are still playing.
Currently, why won't it show me? They currently play for Falkirk.
I watched the Bairns last night at Somerset Park.
Was that in the Trust Trophy?
Trust Trophy.
Aye.
They won 1-0. Callum Morrison got the assist. Now, could it be Callum Morrison? I don't know. Because I didn't see Gary Oliver. No, it wasn't, because Callum Morrison, I can remember, played under Craig Levine at Dens. He assisted Stephen McLean's goal with some genius attacking intelligence. So Callum Morrison can get discarded. I'm leaning towards Gary Oliver.
Right.
2013 and 15. But then Liam Henderson played for Falkirk as well. Was he? Oh my God, this is grim.
I was about to say, you've very quickly narrowed it. And it's a potentially interesting decision. But you can't, you're going to have to do it. You've asked your questions.
It's a Falkirk player. Oh, God. Oh, please don't be Liam Henderson. I'm trying to think where Gary Oliver's been, though. No, think. There's a family link. Oh my God. I feel like this could be a regret. But do I go for Liam Henderson? I think I do. I'm gonna go for I'm gonna go for Liam Henderson, but I don't think it's right.
The correct answer is Gary Oliver. Yes, it worked. It worked. The family clue through you that I hoped it would.
What is the family clue?
The family clue is that his uncle's Jim Duffy.
Really? I didn't know that.
And when Jim Duffy was his uncle, when Jim Duffy was
previously his uncle, he's not anymore.
He's previously disowned him for his performances.
When would Jim Duffy have been at? Dundee or Clyde or somebody like that?
Morton.
Of course.
So,
of course it was.
To explain everything.
That is so annoying.
I was like, how the fuck has he got Gary Oliver?
And then you narrowed it down to him as well. Oh, you bastard. I was expecting like Blair Henderson was like Liam's cousin or something, and I don't know.
So
that's so I never knew that about Gary Oliver though. That's interesting.
Until today. So I'm a Hearts Academy graduate, that explains itself. My first goal for Hearts came in the 98th minute versus Inverness, August 2014.
It was 2014 Inverness.
Yep.
Was that a league game?
Let's find out now.
And where? Up there?
No.
At Tiny?
I've just realised it's not against Inverness. It's against Wraith. Sorry, at Tynecastle. In the week.
Wraith?
Yeah.
Newcastle in the week? Don't remember that.
Sorry, the reason I put Inverness is because the line below it.
I'm so angry with myself.
The line below it is that he rolled his ankle against Inverness the next week. So that's why. He was playing for the B team. My first loan spell away from Hearts ended after only 3 months because he was at Stenhousemuir and he scored 2 goals. And we went, we'll have some of that, please. In the 14-15 season, where we were just taking the piss out of everybody, we decided, let's get him back.
Yeah, what a bizarre time.
Don't know. Then I have a family link to one of the clubs I played at. Jim Duffy is his uncle. And I've exclusively played in Scotland because he has played for Heart Midlothian, on loan at Sterrismuir, Queen of the South, Greenock Morton, Queen of the South, Greenock Morton, Falkirk. There we are.
That's infuriating. That really is infuriating because my who am I's, like you say, in recent weeks were getting good. But
maybe this is a sign that we'll beat Aberdeen.
Thank you, Gary Oliver. The Gary Oliver gods are looking down upon us.
So you're still just one off. Wait, are you one off double figures or did you get double figures last time?
No, I think I'm 9. I think I'm on 9. But Uche and Gary Oliver,
you could have
just rank rotten centre forwards that are just haunting us.
Could have been sat here with 4 out of 6, but
that is infuriating. Oh, that's annoying. But we move. Hey ho.
Well, let us know if you managed to get Gary Oliver and you stuck to your guns, because that would be much appreciated. But we hope you have enjoyed this episode. It's been a bit more of a ranty one than normal, but we've not had one of them in ages. We missed them. Mind the championship last time. That's all we did. Every week was one of them. So we hope you enjoyed the throwback. Yes, exactly. So if you have, please leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. It massively helps us out. If you've been watching us on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. The comments have been amazing on YouTube. We've been seeing a massive increase in them, so thank you very much. It's mostly just people giving us shit for not getting the Who Am I's each time, but hey, that's totally fair and justified. We're on all the socials at Perth to Paisley, perthtopaisley@gmail.com as well. Adam, where can you on all the socials?
You can find me tuning into Best of Jim Duffy, a Capello compilation at Adam T. Kendall. What about yourself, mate?
I'm at DMcIver22. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to discuss the Aberdeen game. Potential management situation once again.
Who are you kidding?
No, we won't. And anything else that comes up in the time that we've been away. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Keep faith. Mother JTs.